Dear New York City, congratulations on making history. But because of your decision, we can no longer hear his or her story. You took away their voice, stripping children of their right, but you call it pro-choice. And smiles on your face as authoritative pens signed with celebration. But maybe this is what it takes to open the eyes of a blind generation, to see the total depravity of this lost and cold nation. Our actions are sick and we seem to have no desire for a vaccination. But the problem doesn't stop in New York City. No, it's much worse. It breaks my heart. It physically hurts. Dear United States, scratch that. Dear world, hear my words not for me, but for every unborn boy and girl. I don't think you're aware of the decision that was just made. It was a law to celebrate sin, also known as Roe versus Wade. And speaking of that case, since then more than 53 million abortions have occurred. And I can't help but think what would have become of those lives if we would have let them mature. So stop being complacent, world. This is an issue. That's a life we're talking about, not just a worthless piece of tissue. That child has a heartbeat, life from the point of conception. And you're saying, well, that's just your perception, but call it what it really is, self-deception. And we call it abortion because apparently it sounds better than murder. But in that womb, that baby girl was crying if you could have only heard her. And that little boy was laughing if you would have just listened. It's right in front of your faces, but somehow you managed to miss it. So dear young lady, I know you might be staring down at that double blue line on your pregnancy test, laying hopeless on your bathroom floor like you have nothing left. And maybe it is because you up and left, and you don't feel ready, or like you can do it by yourself. And so many people surround you, but it feels like no one can help. And I know you're scared and you don't know what to do, but please don't let society fog your view. A million different voices are all offering advice, and I know it's easy to crumble when you're under the weight of all the lights, but please know that everything will be all right, because nothing can take away the importance of life. And raising a child is scary, especially if you're doing it on your own, but I promise there's so many people who want to help you, and you're not alone. And you might think that this baby was an oops or a mistake, but the only mistake you would make would be the decision to end a life. So dear young man, if you up and left, then it's time to make things right. In this pit of darkness, there's this glimpse of light. So it's your job to step up to the plate and be a man. Be remembered as the man who did what was right, not the man who left and ran. And two wrongs don't make a right. So choose to be a father. It's not a consequence, rather a blessing to have this son or daughter. And finally, dear Christian, it breaks my heart that so many of us were quick to judge. Our first reaction should have been Christ-like, one out of love. And yes, these people are broken, but so are we. I'm glad I gave my broken pen to a perfect Savior and let Him perfect my story. And spreading hate and pointing fingers is the last thing that our world needs. Instead, let's bring the change and start meeting needs. And dear abortion, as a future husband and father, you have caused my heart to break. Staggering statistics that make my chest hurt and my legs start to shake. How many more smiles, laughs, and cries did we never get to see or hear? If you're wondering where the change starts, then it starts right here. Who can make the difference? Starts by looking in the mirror. And I know I've said a lot, but let me make one more thing clear. God is the creator of life, and He does not create mistakes. My prayer for this world is that we would be shaken awake. And we need to be purged of our recklessness and our culture's distortion. So right here, right now, let's commit to ending abortion.